The US men's national team are going to be kicking off their first match in the World Cup against Wales. This is going to be a very exciting game, also very nerve-wracking game, and we have came a very long way since 2018. We did not even qualify in that World Cup of 2018, and now we are here standing today to be in the group of where it does contain England, where it does contain Wales, and also Iran. None of these games are going to be easy. This is the World Cup. We know how these games are played, and anything could happen. Now, this US men's national team that is assembled by Berhalter, I do think that this is one of our most youthful teams ever that has ever graced the World Cup. This is one of the most skillful teams that we have ever seen, and us fans, right, we want to see this team do well. And the main question that we are going to be having going into this World Cup is going to be this: is this actually our golden generation? Because you do not call a team a golden generation when you are not performing at a very high level against high level teams. You do not call a team a golden generation when you are not winning trophies. This team that is being led by Christian Pulisic, by Gio Reyna, by Serginho Dest, by Aronson, by Weah, and many more, we want to see this team do great things. And most importantly, we want to see this squad that is going to be one of the youngest teams in this World Cup do some real damage against England, against Wales, against Iran. And hopefully, and God willing, we go into the round of 16 and do the damage necessary and really make a statement that yes, we are here to stay and to stay for a very long time. Because if we can do that, then again, we can come out and say we can go somewhere with this team. And yes, we can build off of this. If the US men's national team does well, we can build on top of this with these exact same group of players. And yes, this can be considered as a golden generation. That is what we want to see coming from these players, so we can confirm this national team is at a good place. Now, I understand, right? There is complaining going on, there is some tensions going on, there are some fans that are divided against Berhalter, mainly because Pepe was not called into this squad. Zach Steffen was also not called into the squad, which is very surprising. We talk about Pepe. Pepe was one of the reasons on why the US is even in this World Cup. And also the same thing with Zach Steffen. Even though he hasn't been in his best form as of late, we could have at the very least expected him to be within the second option or the third option within the goalkeeper position, but he has not been called at all. Now, I do greatly think that this is a mistake. Berhalter really made the wrong choices by not calling Pepe, by not calling Zach Steffen, but there is no reason for us to carry this type of energy and this type of tension against our coach going into this World Cup. We have came a very long way. We're here. We have to support these players. Whoever were the ones that basically replaced Pepe and Zach Steffen, let's support those players. We can't really do anything about it moving forward. So we look at this group. We have to do so many things right, and we have to come in with a lot of fire in the very first game in order for us to say, okay, this is what we could do. Now we're building momentum, which is why it's very important for us to do very well against Wales. And we have faced Wales before. In that previous match, it was 0-0. The Wales team did assemble their B team, and also the same thing with the US. The US didn't have their main starters within the starting 11, and the team that we currently do have today, it is not the same to the ones that Wales faced a couple of years ago, back in 2020. This team that we have right now that will be assembled, that most likely, again, will contain a Yunus Musa, a Christian Pulisic, a Gio Reyna, we're much more cohesive. We're much more of a unit. There is more clarity on how we are going to be approaching every game. There is a style. So what we are going to be doing within this video is talk about the 3 things that we must do in order for us to get the win, because anything less than a tie against Wales is bad news. Because if we can win against Wales and win against Iran, collect a total of 6 points, even at the worst case scenario we lose against England, let's say just worst case scenario, because I honestly don't think that will happen, but worst case scenario, if we do lose against England, even though we have already gotten our points against Wales and Iran, we will still go through, and with a very high chance. So point number 1 on what we should be doing to take down Wales is to start Yunus Musa. There has been a debate within the midfield whether Berhalter should be starting Gio Reyna or maybe someone like Aronson, 2 players who are very capable to be a central midfielder within a 4-3-3 system. I don't think that any of those players can replicate what Yunus Musa does bring on the pitch. We have to remember that this is a player that came out of nowhere. Like 3-4 years ago, we were not even talking about this player. We did not even know if this player was going to be a US men's national team player until he made that ultimate decision to represent this nation. And now we sit here today, and he is one of our most important players going into this World Cup. And Wales are not going to be sitting back. They're going to want to take advantage of this game and gain the 3 points, score goals, go higher up the pitch, and that is where we do have the leverage. If we can get Wales to come up higher, basically invite them through our half, we can easily take the ball away from them and have Yunus Musa receive the ball immediately and take the ball, progress the ball, carry the ball, and attack those open spaces that Wales is going to be leaving behind. Yes, there are are going to be players from Wales that are going to want to drive that ball forward to find the goals, like Aaron Ramsey. We have Brennan Johnson, Dan James, who are all great players for Wales. And that is again where we should be stopping those players. If we can take the ball away from these three players, we can easily receive the ball, have Yunus Musa gain possession of the ball in our defensive third, and we go on, right? This is the player that does have the most progression with the ball. He's way more physical than any other midfielder or forward in the US men's national team, and he's very functional in tight spaces. If we can do that, everything else will fall into place within our attack and really punish Wales. We move on towards point number 2. We need to start Sargent. And this is very important, right? Because I know that many are going to be saying Sargent hasn't been really performing for the US men's national team. Let's put someone like Wea or maybe someone like Gio Reyna in the false line position. Kevin, why would you say Sargent? Well, look, it would be a huge deal for Sargent to start and to score some goals. If he can score goals in the first game of the World Cup, which does mean a lot for every player, it doesn't have to be just about the US. It's going to give us two things. It's going to give us a striker that does gain the confidence to perform in other games as we progress through the group. And point number 2, we would be able to find our main target man very early in this tournament, because that's very important. We don't want to go into the second game or into the third game, whether that's England or Iran, and still ask, okay, who's going to be our target man in the box? Is it going to be Haji Wright? Is it going to be Sargent? Is it going to be Gio Reyna? Is Greg Berhalter going to be switching things up and add Pulisic into the number 9 position? We need an answer very, very early. And so I think that it's very important to start Sargent in the front 3, have him score goals, gain the confidence, and I think that he could do it. And he could be part of the factor on why we win these 3 points, because he has been amazing for the second division. He has been amazing for Norwich. He is on form currently, and as we finish the first half of this season, he already has 9 goals. He already has 2 assists. Yes, I understand that we have Ferreira, we have Haji Wright, but they do not look so convincing if you were to compare a on-form Sargent at the moment. And on paper, I know that it would look very good if we can have Gio Reyna on the left, Christian Pulisic as the number 9, Wea on the right wing, but I don't think that Berhalter is going to want to change anything in the very last minute. He has been very consistent with having Wea on the right, very consistent with having Christian Pulisic on the left, very consistent with having Gio Reyna either on the right wing or in the midfield. I don't think that he's going to do anything so left field in a very high stake moment. So one of the strikers is going to have to start, and that is going to be Sargent. Point number 3, we have to be very secure in the air defensively. And I'm saying that because of one reason. We're playing against Wales, right? Within this Wales team, Bale is going to be there. I understand that this player is not the same that he used to be like a few years ago, but he can still make those bursting runs on the right side. Not as consistently like every 15 to 20 minutes or every 10 minutes, but he does tend to really try to burst on that right flank. And most importantly, he has also readjusted his game. He basically asked himself, okay, how can I continue to score goals without always trying to run the opposition or one of the left backs on the right side? Because I clearly am not the same like I used to be about 4 to 5 years ago. My physical self is going lower and lower, like every player. And the one thing that we have been seeing is Bale being very, very destructive in the air. You look at that MLS final that many of us did see. Bale was one of the reasons on why his team has won that MLS final. He did score a goal in the very last minute in the air, and he was very strong in the air. He knows how to outbody one of the center backs inside the box, and he knows how to go over and win the ball, which is why I do think that players like Ream and Zimmerman are going to be starting. They're going to be very important. They have the height to take care of Bale if he ever does decide to run into the box and look for the header goal. These are 2 players that I believe deserve to play and to gain all of the minutes, and also especially when you know that you can have an on-form Ream who has been playing so well with Fulham, and also have him accompanied with Robinson on the left side. These are 2 players who have also showed that they have great chemistry, and if you can have Robinson take care of that left flank with Bale occasionally making those runs down the right side, and then if he ever does decide to go into the box, Ream and Zimmerman would be able to take care of that. Those 3 players in total are going to be very, very important if they want to stop a team like Wales, because Wales is not going to be easy. Like Greg Berhalter did say, Wales is basically a Premier League team. Many of these players do play in England, and so they know what it's like to play in very hectic moments. So that is it, right? That is going to be the tactical pre-match preview between USA and Wales. I cannot wait for this. It's going to be so exciting. Again, if you are from the US, regardless if you're from somewhere else, whether it's El Salvador, Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, or if you're half Canadian, please support the US if you do see this country playing and representing themselves in the world stage. It's going to be so, so important, and I cannot wait for that match. And I am going to be making a post-match review once this game is over. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.